I never know what I'm talking about when I do these things. I haven't really felt like doing a lot of videos. I've been sitting in meditation quite a bit, feeling a lot of strong emotion. Yesterday it was interesting. It was like, it was so paralyzing because I was, again, this tends to happen, feeling all the suffering of humanity. Like I'd read some article about, I shouldn't look at the news at all, but I couldn't resist. I read something about um, the footage of the Hamas attack that the Israelis screened for these journalists, and they were describing this footage. And I was like, oh, that sounds terrible, as does, the death of 2,000 children in Gaza, as does starving infants in Africa. I mean, all of it is collective human trauma, right? We all feel it. We can feel it. We may not know what it is. But when you open up the sort of energetics of the body and you really let that in, collective human trauma, you can't catch your breath. Like it's that much. And the gateway to that, to feeling that, I know it sounds really appealing, right? Like, how do I do this? But it really is, it's an act of unconditional love to allow that knowing of human suffering, because the gateway to it, the initial gateway to it, is allowing your own suffering to be recognized and acknowledged, and building opening a space for it in the body, and just really holding it, really just allowing it and saying, okay, this is welcome here. Like, I'm not going to resist this anymore. I'm not going to jump into thought. I'm not going to jump into story. I'm not going to jump into addiction or eating or smoking or whatever that puts distance between what's happening in the body that I've never allowed because it was overwhelming when I was a kid and this thing happened to me, whatever it is. You don't even have to remember what that trauma was. It's complex and ongoing. When we're kids, everything is a trauma that isn't a joy, right? Someone yells at you, it's a trauma. Someone tells you you're not enough, it's a trauma, and it gets stored in the body. And sometimes it's so much that you can't face it at all. And so you detach from that feeling in the body and you start to learn to escape into thought, into story, into comfort, whether it's whatever, addiction, distraction. So it's an act of love to start with yourself and feel into the body, reconnect with the body, and go, where is that happening? It doesn't even matter what it is. I'm going to allow it fully. So maybe you're, doubled over sobbing, feeling this thing, or maybe you're feeling that it's transmuting into a kind of acceptance and love. You're kind of holding this inner child that had this wounding when you were so young, and it's totally innocent. The child didn't do anything to deserve that, and didn't do anything to, it's not their fault that they detached or created this kind of numbing situation. It's natural. It's conditioned. So that kind of forgiveness, acceptance of self can open the energetic gate to then feel, you're like, oh my God, it's this much in me. How does this feel in billions of people over a million years of collective human trauma? And you let that in, and you're not even doing it. You can't really control that. But by dropping those defenses, and by the way, having some degree of clarity, realization, awakening makes this inevitable, because now you can't hide in thought like you used to. You can get lost in thought, sure. You can identify with self, sure. But you can't, again, fully hide, because the jig is up. You've seen reality. You've seen, even if it's a 2-second glimpse of this radiant no thing, eternity staring at you right now in every moment. That's actually what you are, more than this. This is just pure appearance. Plato's cave. It's just shadows. What's casting the light? So once you see that in any form, lasting or transient, the jig is up for avoidance. The jig is up for being able to numb yourself in that way anymore. So then these things will arise, and it may be that you don't have the luxury, and you're at work and it happens and people just think you're in a mood, or you have the luxury, like I do now, of just taking a day, sitting at home in your chair and feeling all the feels. And then you go pick up your kids, and then you make dinner. Chop wood, carry water, as they say in Zen. But it's that opening that is the act of love that you're not really doing. It's love, loving love, because it's all that. And without allowing the darkest places to experience that light of your awareness, of your knowing, of your acceptance, saying, yeah, it's okay, that you're okay, it's innocent, and then allow it. Dory says, been learning about trauma being stored in DNA from prior generations. Fascinating. Yeah, we talk about DNA methylation. By the way, all that's a story. It's beautiful how it all, the shadows, the shadow world of illusion that we live in, the Buddhists call it samsara, right? The Christians distinguish the kingdom of heaven from earth. But Jesus really said they're not two when you really allow, right? But this shadow world appears in many different forms that thought can describe and can grasp and can seemingly understand. DNA is just crystallized karma. It's crystallized causes and conditions from the apparent past into the apparent now. So yeah, trauma can be intergenerational. Trauma can be collective, like the trauma of, like, oh, look, here's a good example. You know, we apparently evolved in the Serengeti plain, and there were animals that were trying to kill us. I remember back in 2002, we visited Thailand, my wife and I, when we were residents, and we were in a theater where they were doing some show or something. And at some point, because this is Thailand, they don't have the rules, regulations, and legal structures to worry about safetyism. They just do whatever the hell they want. So at one point, they let a whole white tiger loose on the stage with no leash and no barrier between the audience and the tiger. And the tiger's trained, clearly. And it's just wandering on the stage doing stuff with the trainer and whatever. But the minute this tiger came out on stage without any restraint, I could feel instantly in the body. And I have no experience with these animals, right? No contemporary experience with an uncaged tiger. But the minute that tiger came out, the body lit up with a fear response. Like I could feel it energetically. It was like run, like fight or flight, instantly. No thinking, no story, no, oh, there's a tiger, it's going to eat me. Just that is a collective human conditioning. You could call it trauma that is passed down. You can say in DNA, because that's what we see in the world of form, but it's all energetic. It's all energy. DNA is energy. All matter is energy. Einstein said that. So, you know, there it is. All interdependent, all interwoven. As they say, the past is not gone. It's not even past. Yeah. So what does that have to do with you? Well, if you think you don't have trauma, or you had a perfect upbringing, or there's nothing stored in the body that you haven't felt, maybe question that belief. You know, sit, drop attention into body. And this is something that I often will advocate when I'm talking people through a meditation, or we're doing one of our supporter Zoom meetings. We did one on Sunday. If you're in our supporter tribe, the $5 a month thing, either Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, locals, you'll get a notification that we're doing the meeting and then the Zoom link. And so we had a beautiful crew, and we all told our experience of how things are unfolding, and it's really lovely. But often I'll point people into the body, and I'll say, okay, close your eyes, drop attention into this field of sensation and energy that we're calling body. And what I've realized since is many people can do that and some can't. People who've had serious trauma with dissociation from the body have real difficulty. They're either triggered or they can't feel the body. And that kind of block requires a lot of delicate nurturing to get through, and it needs help, but it can be done. It can absolutely be done and integrated. And that's why this Tara Brach video, actually, I have to find what this was, because it's lame for me to tell you this and not give you the name of the video. It's a beautiful video. You can sit and listen to it with your whole sort of body. Find a quiet spot. It's about an hour long. It's called Healing Trauma. The Light Shines Through the Broken Places with Tara Brach. And my friend Simon Brown, who I'll be doing a podcast with, turned me on to this video. It's beautiful. And it's Tara Brach, B-R-A-C-H. She's a wonderful teacher, and also I think a psychologist. So she kind of melds those aspects together, which I think is very powerful. Nocturne says, even once let go, it retakes and must be let go of again and again. Okay, thank you. That's key. So you feel this. You process this very strong feeling in the body. You sit with it. You maybe feel and have images of the root trauma. And you've done the work and you felt it and you think, okay, I'm done with that now. And then a month later, a year later, it comes again, maybe stronger. That's how it goes. Especially those deeper traumas, they keep coming and you keep surrendering. And then at some point, something happens. It just dissolves. You know you've kind of hit the mark when it no longer has that weight, that reactivity, that triggering quality. You may still feel it in the body, but then it's light and it dissolves quickly. And this is true of all of reactivity as you do this work. Road rage, anger, reactivity. It starts to soften, and then it arises, it's recognized, and it's let go very quickly, unconsciously almost, when you do this work.